Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive. Today we're tackling something pretty close to home for a lot of us, supporting a partner's mental well-being.
It's such a crucial aspect of any relationship, isn't it? And thankfully, there's been a lot of research and practical advice on this front.
Exactly. We dug into some fascinating sources and we found 5 really solid tips that go way beyond the usual, be there for them kind of thing.
Yeah, it gets surprisingly specific and actionable, which I think is what makes this so valuable.
Totally.
Yeah.
And the first one kind of hit me in the feels because honestly, I've messed this up a few times. It's all about being a good listener.
Hmm.
But not just like passively listening while you're checking your phone. It's about,
Becoming an active listener. This is huge.
yes. One source even called it being a safe harbor. Like think about that imagery for a second. You want your partner to feel like they can come to you no matter what storm they're facing.
Right. And one source used the phrase active attunement. Basically, it means mirroring your partner's emotions back to them, showing that you really get where they're coming from.
It's like saying, hey, I see your pain. I see your frustration, your joy. And whatever it is they're feeling, it's okay to feel it with you. No judgment.
Yes, exactly. And it's so easy, especially when you care about someone, to want to jump in with solutions or advice.
Oh, totally guilty of that.
But sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply validate their experience. Just let them know that their feelings are legitimate and that you're there to listen without trying to fix them.
Which actually transitions perfectly into tip number 2, which is all about encouraging professional help when it's needed.
Yeah, because as much as we love our partners and want to be there for them, we're not always equipped to handle serious mental health challenges on our own.
And that's okay. It's not a weakness to admit that.
Absolutely not. It actually takes a lot of strength to acknowledge when you need extra support.
So how do you actually bring up therapy or counseling with a partner without making them feel like attacked or judged?
Yeah.
Because that's a tough conversation to have.
Right, it's super delicate, and this is where all those active listening skills come in handy.
Okay, so you're really present, you're listening without judgment, and then what?
Well, one therapist we read about suggested framing the conversation not as an intervention, but as an act of love and support.
I like that.
Instead of saying, you need therapy, which can sound really accusatory, you could say something like, hey, I've noticed you've been struggling lately, and I love you so much. Have you ever considered talking to someone who might be able to offer some additional support?
But so much better. It's all about empowerment, isn't it?
Exactly. You're not telling them what to do. You're giving them the space to make their own decisions about their mental health journey.
Makes sense.
Mm.
And speaking of journeys, one of the therapists we read about made a point about how healing isn't always a straight line. There are going to be ups and downs, breakthroughs, and setbacks.
That's so important to remember. And that brings us to tip number 3. Patience. Patience. Patience.
Easier said than done.
Oh, for sure. Especially if you're someone who likes to fix things or see quick results, it can be challenging to ride the waves of someone else's mental health journey.
For sure.
Mm.
Do you have any, concrete examples of what this patience might look like in a relationship?
Absolutely. So let's say your partner is having a really rough day with anxiety and they cancel plans last minute.
Okay, yeah.
Instead of getting frustrated or taking it personally, which can be so easy to do,
Oh, yeah.
try to approach the situation with empathy. Remind yourself that this isn't about you, it's about their struggle.
Okay, so validating their feelings again.
Exactly. And then you can offer practical support. Ask, is there anything I can do to help you feel more comfortable or safe right now? Maybe that's ordering their favorite takeout, putting on a calming movie, or just giving them space.
It's about showing up for them in a way that feels helpful and supportive to them, not necessarily what you think would be helpful.
Exactly.
Which leads us beautifully into our next tip, offering practical support. And this one is all about action.
Yes, this is where you get to show up in tangible ways. And sometimes when we're struggling, even simple tasks can feel insurmountable.
Oh, absolutely.
So offering to cook a meal, do the dishes, run errands, or help with childcare can be incredibly helpful for someone who's feeling overwhelmed.
It's like taking some of the mental load off their plate, even if it's just temporarily.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Sometimes the smallest acts of service can make the biggest difference.
And I think it's really important to remember that everyone's needs are different. So the best way to figure out what kind of support your partner needs is to simply ask them.
100%. And listen to their answer without judgment. They might need something completely different than what you would expect.
Communication is key, as always. And you know what's interesting? One of the sources we read emphasize the importance of avoiding unsolicited advice, which, I'll be honest, I'm sometimes guilty of.
Oh, same here. It's that expert trap, right?
Yes, like we want to swoop in and fix everything, but sometimes our attempts to problem solve can actually do more harm than good.
Right. Because it can make our partners feel like we're not really listening or that we don't think they're capable of figuring things out on their own.
And that undermines the whole safe harbor, non-judgmental space we're trying to create, right?
Exactly. So instead of offering solutions, try to simply validate their feelings and let them know that you're there for them no matter what.
This has been so insightful. To recap, we've got active listening, encouraging professional help when needed, practicing patience, offering practical support, and resisting the urge to give unsolicited advice.
It's a lot to remember, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to showing up with empathy, understanding, and a willingness to be present throughout your partner's mental health journey.
And I think that's a beautiful place to leave it. It's a journey, not a destination. And like any journey you take with someone you love, it's about communication, understanding, and supporting each other every step of the way.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive for today. We hope you found this helpful, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on this important topic. How do you show up for your partner in a way that strengthens your bond and creates a deeper sense of intimacy and trust? Something to think about until we connect again.